The night air in Istanbul was thick with silence, the kind that hides whispers and secrets. Cameras were off, lights dimmed, but one pair of eyes caught something that changed everything. A photographer, waiting outside a familiar cafe, had no idea what he was about to capture. He was expecting nothing more than another celebrity sighting, maybe Kim leaving after dinner with friends. But when he saw her walking toward the same entrance, his heart skipped a beat. Demet. Wrapped in a long beige coat, hair tucked behind her ear, she looked cautious, almost nervous. The moment she stepped inside, the photographer lifted his camera. Minutes passed. No one came out. Until suddenly, a reflection appeared on the glass, a man standing, smiling faintly, holding the door open. Yaman. And that was the moment everything began again. Inside the cafe, time seemed to freeze. They hadn't seen each other in months, maybe longer. The last time they did, there were tears, silence, and the heavy feeling that something beautiful had ended too soon. But now, in the dim warmth of that place where no one else mattered, everything came rushing back. Ken spoke first, quietly, "I didn't think you'd actually come." Demet hesitated, her voice trembling. "I almost didn't." He smiled the same way he always did when he didn't know what else to say, calm, confident, and yet heartbreakingly human. "So why did you?" She looked down, then met his eyes. "Because no matter how far I go, I always end up here." For a few moments, neither of them spoke. There was no need. The truth was already there, hanging between them like the faint sound of rain outside. Ken leaned forward, his tone softer now. "You know this will start everything again, right?" Demet nodded. "Maybe it already has." Outside, the photographer clicked once. That single photograph, a fleeting second frozen in time, would soon set the internet on fire. Because love stories like theirs never really end. They just wait for the right moment to begin again. By morning, the photo was everywhere. Every headline screamed the same thing: caught again, Yaman and Demet together in secret. Social media went into a frenzy. Fans, journalists, even fellow actors couldn't believe it. Some said it was old, others claimed it was fake, but those who looked closely saw the details that proved it was real. The way his hand slightly touched hers on the cafe door. The way her eyes softened when she looked at him. The reflection of two people who once promised never to be seen together again. Within hours, hashtags began trending worldwide, hashtag Ken and Demet, hashtag Love Never Dies, hashtag Reunion in Istanbul. Ken's phone wouldn't stop ringing. His agent was furious, shouting through the line, "Do you have any idea what you've done? The press thinks you're back together." He didn't answer immediately. He just stared at the picture on his screen, that single image that captured everything he'd been running from. Finally, he replied, "Maybe it's time they know the truth." Meanwhile, Demet sat in her apartment, blinds closed, TV off. Her manager had sent her the same photo, accompanied by a text that read, "You told me it was over." She placed the phone down slowly, her pulse quickening. It wasn't the picture that frightened her, it was what it meant. Because she knew exactly what had happened that night. It wasn't just a meeting. It was closure, or at least, that's what she had told herself when she agreed to see him. But one look at him, one moment of silence between them, and the walls she'd built started to crack. Her best friend called, voice full of concern. "Demet, people are saying you two are together again. Tell me it's not true." Demet sighed, her voice barely a whisper. "What if it is?" Outside, fans had already gathered near the cafe, taking selfies where they once stood. One of them held a handwritten sign that read, "Some love stories never die." And maybe they were right. Because while the world speculated, something was happening behind the scenes. A second meeting. Another message. A secret decision that could either rekindle everything they lost, or destroy the fragile peace they'd both built. Ken had already made up his mind. He typed a short message, one that said everything without saying too much. "If you still feel it, meet me at the bridge. Midnight." And this time, he hit send. Midnight. The Bosphorus Bridge shimmered under the city lights, the kind of view that made you forget the noise of the world. The air was cold, sharp, the kind that wakes up old memories you swore you'd buried. Ken was already there. Leaning against the railing, jacket unbuttoned, eyes on the dark water below. He'd been replaying that night at the cafe in his mind 100 times. The way she looked at him. The way the world disappeared. He didn't know if she'd come. But something in him, something that had never really stopped believing, told him she would. Then he heard it. Soft footsteps behind him. He turned. There she was. Demet stood a few meters away, her hair tousled by the wind, wearing a simple black coat. No makeup, no cameras, just her. Just them. You still choose the most dramatic places to talk, she said, half smiling, half trembling. He let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. Old habits die hard. She stepped closer. You shouldn't have sent that message. You know what people are saying. He nodded slowly. I know. But I don't care anymore. Her eyes filled with tears. You always say that. But you still have so much to lose. He took a step closer until only inches separated them. Demet. I already lost the only thing that mattered. For a long moment, they just stood there, the sound of waves below filling the silence. Then, quietly, she whispered, It never stopped for you, did it? He shook his head. Not for a single day. A tear escaped her eye, and he reached out to wipe it, his fingers trembling slightly. You shouldn't have come, he said softly, almost as if warning himself. I know, she whispered, but I had to. And then it happened. That same look, the one that started everything years ago. The one that no script could ever capture. The one that said everything without a single word. He leaned in, and their foreheads touched. The city faded, the world disappeared. For that one moment, they were just Can and Demet, not actors, not headlines, not secrets. Just two souls who had fought fate for too long, finally realizing that maybe fate had been fighting for them all along. The first rays of morning light painted Istanbul gold, but peace didn't last long. By sunrise, the photos from the bridge were already online, grainy, zoomed in, but undeniable. Can and Demet, standing inches apart, faces inches from a kiss. Caught again. The love story that refuses to die, screamed the headlines. Television hosts dissected every frame. Body language experts claimed to know what their hearts felt. The world had opinions, theories, judgments, everything except the truth. Can's phone exploded with calls again. His father's number flashed across the screen. He stared at it for a long time before answering. Baba, the voice on the other end was cold. You promised you moved on. I tried, Ken said quietly. This is madness. You're ruining your future for a feeling that should have ended years ago. Can's reply was calm, almost peaceful. Maybe that's the difference between us, Baba. You think love ends. I don't. He hung up before his father could respond. Demet faced her own storm. Her manager stormed into her apartment, phone in hand, panic in her voice. Do you understand what's happening? Producers are nervous, brands are calling, they think this will explode your image again. Demet looked up from her cup of coffee, eyes distant but steady. Maybe it's time they see who I really am. The manager frowned. And who is that? Someone who stopped hiding. Outside, fans had gathered again. Some cheered, some cried, some held posters that read True Love Never Ends. For the first time in years, Demet didn't look away. She waved, not for the cameras, but for the people who still believed in something real. Later that day, Can and Demet met again, not in secret this time, but in daylight, at a quiet park where the sound of the sea reached the trees. He sat on the bench first, sunglasses hiding eyes that had barely slept. When she arrived, he stood. No hesitation. No fear. You know what this means, right? He asked softly. She nodded. It means we stop pretending. He smiled faintly. It means we face the world. And when their hands met, this time without hiding, it wasn't just a reunion. It was defiance. A declaration that love, no matter how impossible, could still win against fear. Cameras clicked again in the distance. But for once, neither of them cared. The day of the interview arrived like a storm everyone had seen coming. Every major network wanted them. Every magazine wanted the headline. But they chose just one, a quiet evening show, no live audience, just them and the truth. When the lights came on, Demet's hand trembled slightly beneath the table. Ken noticed and placed his hand over hers, calm, protective, grounding her like he always did. The host looked at them, visibly stunned by their closeness. After everything, the headlines, the rumors, the families, are you two, together again? Silence. Then Demet spoke, her voice soft but firm. We never stopped being connected. Sometimes love doesn't need a label to survive. It just waits. Ken smiled, the kind of smile that carried years of pain, patience, and love. I tried to live without her, he said. But you can't erase a part of your soul. You just learn to live with the echo, until it finds its way back. The host leaned forward. So, this is confirmation? Ken turned to Demet. Their eyes met. The same way they had the first day on set, the same way they did at the bridge. No script. No direction. Just feeling. Yes, she whispered. This is us. No more hiding. That moment became one of the most replayed clips in television history. The world fell silent watching it, not because it was shocking, but because it felt real. Demet's family, watching from home, didn't speak for minutes. Her sister finally broke the silence. She looks happy, she said softly. Her mother nodded. Then it's right. Even Can's parents, who had fought against it for years, couldn't ignore the truth. His father turned off the TV, sighed deeply, and said quietly, he chose love. Maybe he was right too. Days later, Can and Demet were seen again, this time walking hand in hand near the sea. No disguises, no fear. Just two people who had fought the world and finally found peace. A fan shouted from across the street, we knew it wasn't over. Ken laughed, squeezing Demet's hand. Neither did we. They stopped near the shore, the wind brushing through her hair, the sunset painting the sky in gold and fire. Do you think they'll ever leave us alone? Demet asked. He smiled, eyes on the horizon. Maybe not. But as long as we have this, he gestured to the sea, the light, their hands intertwined. We'll always be free. Demet rested her head on his shoulder, closing her eyes. Then let the world watch. And as the waves crashed softly below them, and the sun disappeared behind the city that had once tried to keep them apart, one truth became clear, their story hadn't ended. It had only begun again. The end.